I think it was it last year,
No, it was
the year
back in
prior.
2020. 2020 last time they had women's physique at the Arnold Schwarzenegger Classic,
Okay.
and then they dropped women's. Then they dropped figure around 2021 after 2021.
So the last time that she was able to compete on the Arnold Classic stage, her routine was just so amazing, just so inspiring. And I don't understand how you could take that away from women's physique. You know, some of the hardest workers, the hardest trained athletes, and you know, I hope that it comes back to the Arnold Classic, but we'll see.
Well, I don't see anytime soon because the fact is, I know I talk to people and they tell me that because Sarah offered to pay up the sanctioning fees and put the prize money for physique, and but they say it's a money thing. But like I say, if you can put up an extra $200,000 for for men's open, and to me, like I said, this is what I learned. The men's open division is like, if you know the pimping game, it's the bottom bitch. It's the one that brings the money into promoters. And wellness is a popular division because it's a new division. You see a lot of women who are switching from physique and even figure going over to that division. I even seen some women who were bodybuilders who will go over the division because it's a popular division. It gets a lot more attention. Just recently, just got more money through promotion than physique or women's bodybuilding. And I like I say, I'm like this. I've been a fan of women's bodybuilding. Those ladies just work just as hard as physique competitors. So I gotta give respect for what they put themselves through. It's a lot, but I feel like this. Instead, again, it costs more if you ladies compete. These guys got to put on a pair of banana shorts, a banana hammocks, and board shorts. You ladies, everything you have to go through, the hair, the makeup. I think the prize money should be a little bit better. I mean, most definitely.
I agree, or at least just give us like a suit, give away a suit for the winner, because that's at least like a grand right there. You know, like some good prizes that will help us further in our competitive career.
Yeah. And it's just that really helps because you know what? Here's the thing is when you pay every year for your pro card, and that's like $2 or $3 out of your pocket. I think there should be some benefits to it. Like, okay, if something happens, you get sick or get hurt, and you have kids, that should come in to help out. Okay, Lindsay, here's some stuff to help you out while you're recovering after your injury. Or we go to the doctor, you don't have to pay so much when you do your blood work. That's money a lot of they got to pay your pocket. Those little things that you ladies and men deserve. Because, like I said again, people who watch bodybuilding don't come see the promoters or the judges or the sponsors. We come see y'all. And if anything, there should be more, incentive for y'all to want to compete. Even though hey, you may not get the big prize money, but hey, come on, let's give them like okay, a little, to get you a little bag at the end. But hey, come on, maybe stay up in like $50, $100 in there, because come on, that's a costly.
Something that would be nice, or even like if they partnered with a meal prep company, or like the chicken pound, or something that offset our costs that we're gonna have anyways.
Yeah. Well, we got here this comment from my man Money J. He says, well, don't forget Ronnie Coleman, Mr. Olympia, and he competed in shows outside of the Olympia during his prime. Yeah, yeah. I know a lot of guys do that, but with guys, there's more shows than there is for women, and then they get more prize money compared to the women. There's like if you look at now, right now, physique is down to maybe about 15, 16 shows, if that much. Women's bodybuilding barely over 10. But then you look at divisions like wellness, men's classic, men's physique, men's open. They got 111 million shows. And I know they took out the point system, which could help. I think wheelchairs should have point system, but I think divisions like most definitely women's bodybuilding, need a point system because there's so few shows, and it gives the opportunity for competitors to say, you know what, if I go to a show and if like Natalia or Sarah or any other top competitors there, and I get in the top three, I can use the points to go to the Olympia.
Right. Yeah, that is kind of a bummer that they did get rid of the point system, because you have to just win. Only winners go to the Olympia.
Yeah. It's like like only winners get to eat ice cream and cake afterwards.
Yeah,
Yeah.
only winners.
So like I said, what you girls do? What are they? They have hobbies or in sports also?
I'm sorry.
Your little girls are they in the hobbies and sports and like that?
Oh, my girls. Yeah, I have a swimmer. My youngest is a great swimmer. She's now getting ready to do her first meet. And then my older daughter, she plays tennis and she does track and field as well. So
Yeah. So they
we
follow
stay
mama's.
active as a family. We go hiking, we go to the beach. We have a dog that, it requires a lot of time and effort and walks and runs. And yeah, we're pretty active together.
It's good, you know. I know it's good that you spend time with your children, and then I know sometimes when you're prepping your food, do they eat what you want to eat, or they get you cook separately when you cook?
So we kind of do a blend of both, right? So I cook a lot of my proteins in a large batch, so there'll be cooked proteins in the fridge that my older daughter will she'll make her like carbs or make her veggies, and then she'll go, okay, mom, I'm going to take some of your ground turkey, or I'm going to take some of this chicken that's cooked in here. It looks great. Okay, fine. I love that they eat healthy, and especially getting that protein in their diet as they grow. It's great.
Yeah, that's like I said, it's good for kids to eat healthy. I started eating a little healthier since I got older now. I was taking care of my mom for a long time. I was almost 500 pounds, and I
Oh,
said,
wow.
I got to step back. But then sometimes it's just those things about certain foods that sometimes you just can't deny yourself. Sometimes it tastes good, especially if something sweet or something salty. And, it be calling your name, Lindsay. It be calling me. And I'm just a particular type of criminal. I'm like a dog chasing cars. When I get one, I don't want to do it. So I'm sorry about him. He's just I don't know, but So
Comes up sometimes. Yeah.
yeah, he comes in times. He's a part of me. He like he likes to say to me, he's like, "You complete me," but I just don't know that about you. So as a competitor, it's a lot of work and a lot of time you put into the sport. And what would you want to see change out of it for yourself?
What would I want to see? How would I want to see the sport change?
Yeah.
It would be really cool if the league did more to feature its athletes. If it was like how the WWE really makes the athletes the stars of the shows, either by sharing their lives, sharing their goals, or just highlighting, maybe focusing on like how they train or how we diet, or try to engage like the athletes in the league events more. I think that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, I think more recognition
Yeah.
because like just like any other like sport, I think most mainstream sports recognize great talent. Like you look at the NBA, LeBron James and those guys out there. Like your daughter does tennis. Like one of my favorite tennis players is the Williams sisters. I love Serena and Venus. Just had the Masters. You had Tiger Woods. He was playing. And I think he should retire.
I know. I
I
can't believe
mean,
I was playing in the Masters this last weekend. That's so cool.
yeah. Yeah, I think I was talking to my nephew. He's a big sports fan. They also, I think somebody else, I think it's another golf league offered him a lot of money to play for them, but he's been
Oh,
like
the Middle
multiple.
East. That's You're talking about the Middle East League.
Yeah, I think it's live. They call it. I think they call it. Yeah, I think it was like maybe was it about 8 million or something like that. Oh, yeah, hey, I don't know. Hey, you offer me that money. Hey, I'm going. Because But like I said, this is about a sport. Does take a lot of time and a lot of money, and you have to have a passion for it because there's so much to it. So ever since I started doing content, because I was mostly a fan of bodybuilding. I grew up. My brother used to be a football player here in our hometown. I played football too, and the muscle magazines. And I grew up with, like the Arnold Schwarzenegger, Taylor Arnold Schwarzenegger era. The start Lee Heaney, and then everything else. And then when I got a little older, people like Corey Everson and Linda Murray, because I was going to my pubescent age. That just kind of blew my mind. But then doing this content, I get to learn stuff about you ladies because there's a lot to being a competitor in this sport, and people don't respect. I don't think they have. They just feel like you change the aspect of what's considered feminine. We have more muscle than the average dude, and I've had people make comments like, "Oh, she's trying to be a man." Yeah, 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 yeah. You like for your bodybuilders? Are you gay or something? No, you're a woman and you're an athlete, and I think that people need to recognize that.
Definitely. Yeah. And I mean, there's some weird stuff that's been, in um, our news media, and that's becoming more pushed to social norms. I don't know where trans bodybuilding is going to go, but I do know that in other sports I would be I would be so disappointed if I was like one of the college female swimmers, and I had to compete against um, a transitioned swimmer that was a male. I just don't think I don't know where bodybuilding is going to go and land on this, but yeah, they're going to have to like figure that out, because
Well, I know.
I can see that area growing, or becoming more of like a normal um, occurrence, I
Yeah,
guess.
I think some people believe that they should have their own separate league because you know what, it would be unfair to put a woman against a guy who has natural testosterone. He can
Right.
build muscle a lot faster than I think that's fair. Also same thing with even with the mainstream sports. Truthfully, even a transition woman wouldn't do against a regular man, and even a trans man wouldn't do as well against a regular man, and try to compete against women, it'd be unfair. Here we got some comments here. It's from man Davis Adams. He says, hello, George and Lindsay. Hello, Davis. Also, this is from my man Chad. He says, I eat healthy too sometimes. It's called Subway Eat Fresh.
Mm.
I think I had some Subway maybe about a month or so ago. And also, this is from man Money J. Shout out to Money J. It says the IFBB needs to give the women more shows to make it fair for all the categories, including women's physique. But like I say, we all know that it's the money game. You
It is,
know,
because the promoter, the show promoter, whether it be like Gary Udit or
Tim Gardner.
yeah, Tim Gardner, exactly. Whoever's the promoter, or Muscle Contest, whoever's putting on the show has to always also make ends meet. They have to. It can't just be like a wash to them. They have to find that it's profitable, and if it's not profitable, they can't. It can't continue year over year.
Yeah. So, say if it doesn't make money, it doesn't make sense. And it wasn't that long ago. We just had a couple weeks ago. We had Triple O Dynasty. I got to watch the show. It was. I like the show. It was great. I mean, I hope you bring it back next year because think about it. It's a show that's closer to the West for you because you live in California.
Yeah.
There's like the Arizona Pro, which is part of the Rising Phoenix. There's the Legion's Sports Fest. And I think there's another show that's in I think it's in Oregon or Washington State. I think it's the Emerald Masters.
The
I
Emerald
think
Cup. Hmm.
Emerald Cup. Yeah, and again, y'all women's physique have a little more shows than women's bodybuilding, but it's still there should be opportunities for y'all to compete. And if one thing is, this is one thing. Are you sponsored or
No.
yeah? This is one thing that can help you athletes sponsorship because that will help pay for the cost of your travel expenses, also your food costs, stuff like that. The little things that can help take a little stress off your shoulders. Because
I'll put it to you this way, George. That my sponsor is here. Is my gym is my sponsor. My
yeah,
business is
that's
my sponsor. Yeah.
that's a good thing you get the business, but also it'd be great if you have somebody else say,
It
Lindsay,
would be lovely. I would
yeah,
love to represent a company if they, so desired, a women's physique pro to represent them.
yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, because I know like this is what I say. This is proof of it. A lot of ladies in this sport, they have to find ways to circumvent money. And is ICOM, no offense to what they are, but it's small. That's what we know we are. They're the beat the meat websites. That's and those are the ones that where some women make their money. Some women are going into like OnlyFans. It's something I know you wouldn't want to do because you have kids. And when it gets out the internet, careful. But also, you do photo sessions like with Sean. And those are pretty classy. I like Sean's work. I interviewed Sean a while back.
I love working with Sean Nelson. Yes.
Yeah, he's
Love.
he's a great guy. He gave some good advice.
Hmm.
Yeah, and you know what? Sponsorship would help, but you gotta find the right people because sometimes you have to get careful. Some guy say, "Hey, Lindsay, I seen your show last time. Yeah, yeah, I really like your shape. I like your physique. You think you do something for me? I do something for you? No, 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 no.
Right.
Don't do that." He likes to say, "Mrs. Diaz, we have a plan for you. If you're interested in our product, we want you to be a representative. So we'll take care of your expenses for your competition season. Anything you need from us, let us know. Make sure that everything works with you, then it work for us." And that's what I think. Truthfully, we need people like that. There's guys out here who are fan of you ladies, but they don't want to be like, okay, the keyboard warrior be talking about, yeah, she's too big, she's like a man, yeah, yeah. And then 20 minutes later, they turn around and say, hey, Lindsay, I think you're cute. I want to get to know you. You can't. That is just, you can't be that guy saying, to be slap you with an iron fist, but then pat you on the back with a silk glove.
Right.
Yeah.
No.
We got here from a man, Arm Love, I think it is. He says, Army Lover. He said, Goddess. Shout out to him. And I tell you, like I said, Lizzie, when I get a new girl on here, these guys get excited. I think I have half a dozen guys watching right now. Because,
Yeah.
yeah.
Thanks for supporting whoever is watching the live stream here. We really appreciate the support in bodybuilding, especially those female bodybuilders that don't get enough credit for the work that they do in the sport. So I appreciate the eyes on this, and share with other bodybuilding hopefuls. And yeah, I'm not sure what your audience, like who you generally reach.
Well, I'm mostly catered to more to guys who are fans of the sport, guys who like women's bodybuilding, because with YouTube, there's not a lot of content about y'all. Other guys like the Female Body channel, there's DD on the spot, there's Ryan over there's Ryan, yeah. There's a guy named, his name's David, Bryant. He does female bodybuilding for him. I got a friend, his name's KL. He also does interviews with ladies in bodybuilding.
Oh, cool.
Really, it's about giving y'all ladies a voice. Where I just had last week I had like 4 interviews with some ladies, some pro level ladies and some amateur ladies. I've had interviewed guys before, but with y'all women, y'all do truthfully need more attention.
Yeah.
I even do content on women WMA, mixed martial arts, because
Oh,
the
yeah.
fact is, yeah, because the fact is, it's like one of my jobs. I used to have a couple of jobs where I work with women almost every day. My
Okay.
first job was as a teenager. I was working in a gas station. Then I worked for 13s and textiles, and then I worked like 6 years in what you might call a gentleman's club. So
Okay. Yeah.
I worked around women a lot, and if you make women feel comfortable and they feel like they know there are, somebody who pay attention to them, let them know that they know, hey, recognize your work and your commitment, your passion, you should get more attention. Here we got here, man, Cross Fat. He says, I think it's hard to push for more shows when some shows get only 2 to 4 competitors. Because I think, like I said, at the
I agree. And I think maybe a way to change that would be for the show sponsors to reach out to some female competitors and say, hey, we would love for you to commit to competing at our show. What can we do to help you commit? If maybe some of the show sponsors work with the promoters and said, okay, we're going to guarantee like these 3 to 5 female pros are committed and promoting this show coming up.
mm-hmm.
It
Yeah,
can be fun.
because simple as it's like, okay, we're just gonna pay for their room and board and cover costs a couple other things. I mean, you're making money off of off you being there these shows because these sponsors need these shows to sell their product. Like you think about like a show like the Olympia or the Arnold Schwarzenegger Classic. How they're gonna get people to notice them because not a lot of bodybuilding is not on television mainstream anymore like it used to be when I was growing up.
Right.
It's mostly online and the social media. That's where it's really getting where it's being seen more, like on YouTube or also live streaming these shows. Like I said, again, I went saw you to compete at Savannah. Actually, I was so happy when I saw Andrea was there. I was so surprised.
I
And,
know. It was cool, huh?
I mean, she's just, and I got to meet some ladies who I interviewed a while back. I also got to meet people who I follow. Like, actually, I got to talk with Alina Popa. She was there at that show, and and I saw one guy who really saved with his bodybuilding. Anytime I got to say his name, I got to do this. Yo, Jake, I want that money. I want that gun. Shout to Jake Wood. He's doing good work for just in general for women's bodybuilding. I think,
Yeah, definitely. Shout out to Jake Wood for supporting the sport as he does.
yeah,
He's a tremendous support.
yeah, he's a great fan. He says, this is from a man, AVZ1. He says, Lindsay, how much does your diet change when you're not prepping for a show or off season, and are water pills still being used? So, what you say
Not
there?
sure what water pills he's referring to. Some competitors, right before they hit the stage, will use diuretics, like albuterol, diazide. Um, those are pretty common. You should be able to, if you are truly lean and peeled enough and conditioned, you shouldn't need any diuretics though.
Yeah.
And my diet, as far as my diet's concerned, it really doesn't change that much. I don't track when I'm off season, as far as like tracking my macros or calories, or being like so strict with my meal times. I think that's what changes the most, honestly, is the time of my meals, and being very strict down to like the minute. When I'm prepping versus like off season, I'm like, okay, I have a little bit more flexibility. Maybe I'll eat within, a 3 hour window, 4 hour window. Maybe I'll fast in my morning and then have, 2 meals that day. I mean, it's less consistent for sure.
hmm And thing also, so again, consistency is important to as a bodybuilder. Following a proper diet. And also your times you work out. When you work out, what's your recent favorite workouts?
Ooh, okay. So I love training. That's what really draws me to the sport and keeps bringing me back is the training. I love lifting weights. And last year was my first year that I actually trained a little bit like a power lifter. Um, and being that I focused on the squat, the bench, and the deadlift for my main lifts. And, some would argue, like, okay, like that's going to give you a thicker core. Some bodybuilders don't even do barbell back squats. But that's like my favorite exercise. How could I not? Or how it feels to pick up like 400 pounds off the ground in a deadlift. There's nothing that compares to that. Like when you can achieve that type of strength, it's just, oh my gosh, it's amazing. It's just riveting. So, as far as like my favorite or least favorite training, I think my favorite thing to train is it used to be it used to be shoulders. That used to be my favorite thing to train because I could train shoulders like every day. I could just come up with new exercises to just kill my shoulders. I love it. But I think now, since it's just been my weak point, my leg days are my favorite. Yeah, I know, right? Who said
You're not the first one who told me they love leg day. First time I heard that somebody told me they love leg day, said you must be a mutant because generally it's usually chest, maybe back and shoulders, but rarely leg day. Because you think about it, one of my favorite episodes of Chappelle's show was when Charlie Murphy meets Rick James. They go back to Eddie's house. And,
Oh
and
yeah.
you know and you remember he's like F your couch, Eddie Murphy, F your couch, and they're beating Rick's legs.
His
And
legs.
yeah, and Dave
Like
Chappelle's
crawl
calling out,
out.
said, yes, you give your inwards any money. That's how leg days for a bodybuilder.
Oh
It's
my
like
god, it is.
they're crawling out. You feel like a little newborn calf. You
You
try to
need
stand up.
crutches. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, crutches. Like I said, the abs is a centerpiece of a great physique. You got to really work on those. Core is it's very important part. This is from my man CrossFit. He says, has Lindsay considered being competitive in other sports like powerlifting or CrossFit? So, like I said, you were trained as a powerlifter. So, would you think about doing powerlifting?
I would. Yeah, I would. I've gotten my maxes up pretty high, so I feel like I could be competitive in the powerlifting world. I think if I were to pursue powerlifting, my main that I would focus on would probably be my bench press. Um, the squat, I would love to have a better squat, but it's also like the risk reward, right? Oh my God. Imagine as a female loading like 500 to 600 pounds on the bar and squatting that. That's a lot of weight.
I couldn't imagine as a man. Like I said, I got two bad knees like Stone Cold Steve Austin. I couldn't go that low. And I think there's a lot of women who transition from powerlifting to bodybuilding. I know one lady competing in making her pro debut. She was a powerlifter, and
Oh,
she's going to compete. Yeah, she's competing at the Red Island show, in women's bodybuilding. She earned a pro card last year at USA's when a lady who I interviewed a while back. A CrossFit, like Jenny, she used to be a CrossFitter before she got into bodybuilding. I
Yeah.
know some. Yeah, I know some ladies who left bodybuilding for CrossFit. I interviewed Lee Kiros, who was she's Ivy Pro, but she doesn't compete. She mostly does powerlifting and she does CrossFit.
Oh, okay.
Um, yeah, this is from a man. David says, "Wow, you're super strong." He's like, she's strong. So
Yeah, I
so
hope so by now. If I've been bodybuilding for 5 years, I hope I have some strength gains as well.
yeah.
It's not just here to look at, right? It's just, you know.
Well, for us, the guys who are smos, and let's admit that we do look at y'all ladies. We do. We got like so again. We up on stage. You're nearly dehydrated. You're starving, but we see that look. You're shredded. You're popped out. Everything's your veins, your vascular, the tan. It's something we enjoy. But we understand. I understand. I know some guys do that. It's a lot to get to that stage.
Oh
The
yeah.
sacrifice you got to make. There's times you can say, you know what, I can spend more time with my girls. I could, go traveling. I can go do this and do that. But to do this sport, even though there's no real money in it, like any mainstream sport, you have to have a passion for it. The reward is maybe, like I said, going to the Olympia or winning a big show and get a nice payday. You got to think about it. If you can do a show and win $20,000, right there, that's your prep for the rest of the year. I mean, you can buy yourself a couple of good suits and also cover your costs the next show. You can take your girls with you because I know they do when they go to shows. Are they there with you? When they say, "Hey, mom, we root for your mom," and you're like, "Hey."
They were there when I won my pro card, and that meant the world to me. That was so cool that they were there when I won my pro card. So they saw me aim for something, work at it for a couple of solid years. Where it took me, I stepped on the stage in 2018, and I won my pro card in 21. So it took me 3 solid years to get that. Um, so that was really cool to have them. They don't typically go to competitions with me. They're at the age now where I would consider if they wanted to go, like, sure, great. But as a single mom, like trying to like manage and herd kids while you're trying to prep and compete on the bodybuilding stage, it's not ideal.
Well, they're teenagers now. They need to take care of themselves. They should help you a little more too. And like I said, I think they probably would love to go with you with Tampa because Dad is you're not that far from Disney World.
Right, yeah.
You can take the day and spend with the kids. But yeah, it's a lot to being a mom, being a boss, being a trainer, a coach. There's so much to the sport, and you really have to try to find a balance for yourself. Those times you want to sit back and say, you know what, just spend time with the girls and sit and just chill and just enjoy life. But then, like I said, when you're ready to get ready, you're like my man Rocky. No matter how hard life hits, you gotta keep moving forward.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
This is for a man. Money J says, "What's your inspiration right now as a women's physique athlete?" Now,
That's a really good question. I do like Andrea Shaw. I look at some of the female bodybuilders, and that's who I'm kind of looking up to. There's I don't know, there's a number of athletes. I also look at the athletes that came before me, like even like Corey Iverson, Linda Murray, like they have some amazing physiques. And I do like the 90s female bodybuilder look. I think that's my favorite look because I feel like it's pretty balanced,
yeah,
as far as like muscle density, muscle size, even like your conditioning, the level of conditioning, it's not too much, where
yeah.
sometimes it's just a little, you get to these shows and some of the females are just like so dry that it takes away. I think it takes away from like your natural beauty.
Yeah, you get that death face. I haven't heard of it.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, like I'm already getting like some of my like laugh lines in now as like I start to diet, but
yeah,
man,
yeah. I know. I love Andrea. I mean, she's just so beautiful. She has a great physique.
yeah,
I'm a
she's
fan
great.
of hers. This is my man, Big Keith. He does live streams with me. He's a pro too, and he has his hand on my girl. That's my. I tell him he's supposed to be doing a guest posing with her. I told Keith last time we did a live stream yesterday. Keep your hands off her. You gotta wipe. I'm sorry, Lindsay. I'm sorry. I tell him to keep his hand off his woman, but he's my brother. I love him, but he's my brother. I love him, but he just but I know I get that like that. I know I'm just what you know. You realize something. I'm crazy. So anyway, this is for man. CrossFit says, has Lindsay ever gotten feedback to move up to female bodybuilding? No, I